Welcome to the Harjit and Prayer Show with your host, Harjit and Prayer.
Hey, Prayer.
Hey Harjit, how's it going, man?
Good. It's cold. Lots of snow here in Vermont, man.
Yeah, I heard. I've seen some of your pictures. That sucks.
Well, snow is one thing, cold is one thing, but when you have a broken snowblower
Oh no.
and quarter of your driveway, which is like a 200-foot driveway, is not done, it's a
Wow,
problem.
that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that big. Holy cow.
Yeah, with a turnaround and stuff like that. So
Okay.
that was a lot of manual labor last night, and I'm so.
I I remember, and I had a shared driveway. We're with an awesome neighbor, but he was so odd about shoveling. He wouldn't use a snowblower, so we were always shoveling by hand. He wouldn't.
Oh,
I told him I would pay for someone to do it for us, and he said no. He was otherwise he was a great neighbor, but just when it came to shoveling, he wanted it done by hand, which took. There was times, I don't know
oh
if
my
you do this
God.
with a snowblower, but like, if there's a lot of snow, I would wake up when, like, maybe like when there was 4 or 5 inches down, shovel,
Yeah,
and then again the next morning, shovel it again because we're
right.
not, all that junk. But yeah, I don't have to worry about
And
that
then it depends
anymore.
whether it's heavy snow or fluffy
Oh
snow.
yeah,
Or...
if it was like raining and all that,
Oh yeah. So did he control the snowball? I mean, did
he
he?
would only use it. He
So
said
he owned it.
he owned it, and I could have bought one, right? But we never did. But he said it would only work in certain kinds of snow,
Oh my
which
God.
which I was
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he wanted the driveway cleaned. So like, scraping up where the car rode over, the tire tracks, all that had to be up, and
Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Okay.
hours and hours and hours, but he's still a nice guy. So anyway, well,
Anyway.
sorry that you don't feel so good.
Yeah. Well, and and there are reasons why I don't like you, right?
Oh,
Oh my God. So,
uh,
yeah, speaking of Elon Musk,
yeah,
um,
that's some crazy stuff, dude.
that's
There's
a
a there's a car in space. Like
wow.
I was watching that live feed for the longest time of the Tesla Roadster in orbit. I mean, it was just like I cannot believe this thing is up there.
You see, when I first heard about a Tesla, before they even launched it, I thought it was a joke.
Hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, yeah, it's just a marketing gimmick or whatever, and promotional thing. And then there was some delays and things like that with the launch, and next thing you know, boom, it's off. And so I was watching it live.
Hmm.
That was really really cool, and
Yep.
and then you saw the rocket. I mean, the one that really really excited me was the rocket boosters when they came back down.
Yeah, a lot of people
Like,
are blown away by that.
oh my,
It's so cool.
how amazing was that?
Yeah. So we actually went up onto the roof of our building in Gainesville.
Oh, you could
And
see it from that far?
like we were just expecting like a smoke trail,
Okay.
but you could make out the flame and the like that it was a white rocket with flames coming. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I mean, my mind was blown. Of course, these other folks had seen stuff like that before, but that was my first time. I'm like, oh my god, that's a rocket going up into space. And then it when it went horizontal, that's when we kind of lost track of it
I
and stuff.
see.
So I didn't see the boosters come back, but I sent you a picture. If you zoom in on the horizon, you can see the smoke trail
Yeah.
that it left and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was pretty well.
Our friend Kenji watched it from his office in
Yeah, that's crazy.
Melbourne, and yeah, and
He's
yeah,
really close,
he's
very,
really
very
close.
close.
Yeah,
Couple, I don't know, just like 10, 20 miles away, or maybe less than that. I don't know.
yeah, and there's a freaking car in space.
Playing, playing music on a loop until the battery. Well, the battery should have run out by now.
Yeah,
But yeah, and the funny thing is, like, they weren't really expecting it to work. Like, they would have, they didn't want it to blow up on the launch pad because that would have taken about a year to rebuild, and that would
oh
have
wow,
delayed other launches, right? They were just wanted to get it off the ground, and up into the air, and that way, if something happens, it would be less damage, and they could
Okay.
get data, the telemetry data of launching the rocket, which is it's a big deal because it's three Falcon 9 engines strapped, three Falcon 9 rockets strapped together, but it's 27 engines, and so you have to light
Yeah.
them all at the same time, control them. So it was a lot of intelligent people doing some amazing engineering.
Lots of engineering. Yep.
So kudos to the ladies and gentlemen behind that. Like, wow, I am really impressed. And
Yeah.
so they put his roadster with the Tesla rocket suit up there, Mr. Starman,
Starman,
and
yeah.
like that you were expecting this thing to blow up, and you put that in there. Like, that's just too funny.
Yeah.
So
And it had a sign on the dashboard that said "Don't panic," and then I
yep,
think there was a miniature version of the car and Starman on the dashboard too.
yeah,
Yeah. So they did little quirky things like that, and the music. And
yep. But just like watching it spin, and like, oh wow, there goes the moon.
yeah. Yeah.
And then, I was showing my daughter, and she's like, "What's that?" "Oh, look, that's the Earth." I'm like, "This is a camera in space on a car right now." And she's like,
That's unbelievable.
"Yeah, that's crazy." And
Yeah.
a little later that night, I checked into the SpaceX Reddit to see what was happening with the final. I don't know what the term is, but boost towards Mars.
Okay.
Because he said about 6 hours after, he said in about 5 to 6 hours they would do the deal where they would launch it towards Mars. And so I checked into the SpaceX Reddit, and people from California were posting pictures of what they were seeing, and they were like, "It's like that's it right there." I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, a lot of people thought it was a UFO, and so they were taking videos. There's lots of documented evidence of it.
Right. And now it's headed off like in a different orbit or something, right? I mean,
Yep.
it's like towards I don't know a lot about it, but something towards the asteroid belt or something like that, right?
The goal was to be in the same distance from the sun as Mars in that
Okay.
orbit. And then, but they actually, I don't know why, but they spent all the fuel in the rocket, which put them into an orbit, which would be the asteroid belt. I guess,
see.
I mean, the batteries are dead on it. I don't know how they're going to track it, but I mean, about 6 to 8 months, it would reach the Mars distance from the sun. And so I'm not sure what to expect at this point.
You know, Musk is always a surprising fella. So wouldn't be surprising that 6 to 8 months from now, next thing you know, oh hey, check out, the Tesla is landing on Mars, and
they're, they're driving it around. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Hey, Curiosity, what's up? Like the NASA space, like like
yeah.
it's taking pictures of the Tesla. That would blow my mind. I don't think that's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
No,
But
no, no, it's not. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
crash landing on Mars, that probably could happen. Because they don't have control of it anymore. Who knows what it's gonna do?
Right.
So
And and you and I were chatting offline and Slack, and I was reading, it said it's the largest rocket, but it's not true, right? It's the largest
rocket in the world today,
today, but in history,
not in time, right?
right? Not in time. It's Saturn V. No, right?
Saturn V. Yep.
Right, Saturn V. Okay. Yeah, and I saw the comparison of it, and the weight and the size and wow, Saturn V was massive.
It was huge and super expensive to launch. So in one of the articles I read, if they were to launch Saturn V today the same way that they did, it would cost like $40 billion or $20 billion. It was like in the billions of dollars. This launch, I believe it cost $200 million, which again is already cheaper, but they're saying like in future launches, if they're actually taking payloads, it's going to be way cheaper than that.
All right.
So, yep, it's way smaller. And this is their Elon Musk's end game. If you read his book, awesome book, like get the audiobook so you can listen to it. His whole thing is that he is convinced that in order for humanity to survive, it needs to leave Earth. And that makes a lot of sense just because today the Earth does not have the capability to support the human life on it now. There's a significant. If everybody was getting fed and getting enough water and all that kind of stuff,
Everybody's got a home and all that stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like the Earth would be desolate because it doesn't have that capability. Obviously, we have significant poverty issues and things like that, so we should be blessed that we have what we have.
Yeah.
So, at some point, that's not going to be the case anymore because we are just completely depleting our planet of our resources. Yes, I'm a bit of a liberal. Deal with it. And I should not say liberal. I should say I care about the planet that we live on, which is the only habitable place we have in the universe at the moment. So he wants to plant colonies on Mars so that the human race can survive. And that's his whole end game. That's why PayPal existed, so that he could one day start another company that could start another company. And the reason that Tesla is around so that we can have rechargeable batteries that they can use on Mars to do the things we need to do on Mars because we need electricity.
Well, he's doing that whole solar stuff too right now. Roofs,
and solar, right?
The roof panels and stuff like that. Now you can have like actual shingles, not just like solar panels that a little bit, but your entire roof is solar.
Yep.
And all sorts of crazy things like that, which is amazing. And flamethrowers.
And flamethrowers and big machines that dig holes in the ground.
Yeah.
The Boring Company. But I mean, it's really, it should be, it's a really inspiring story because you see when a person has focus, what they are capable of, and he has made significant sacrifices, in relationships and family and stuff like that, in order for his vision to become true. And stuff, but if I had 10% of that, oh my gosh!
but it was fascinating when I heard from you how he tracks his time, how efficient he is with his time.
Sure.
You wanna explain that a bit?
He keeps a spreadsheet that tracks his time that he tracks to like basically in 5-minute increments, and then he'll review. Even like eating, like how much time did you spend? Oh
my God.
He'll review that spreadsheet at the end of the year and figure out, all right, how can I spend my time more efficiently? So that's drive, and that is,
That is nuts.
Yep. I don't know. Not nuts, but it's like he wants stuff.
It's extreme, but it works for him though.
If he wants to see people land on Mars before he dies, that's the kind of thing you do.
Yeah.
So
he wouldn't be doing a Harjit and Prayer show, would he?
Nope, probably not.
No.
He was pretty excited yesterday, though. Maybe we could have gotten him on. So
we could have, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Never know.
Yeah, but read the book. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, anyways, what's going on in the tech world? Microsoft land, Windows land.
Well, what I've been really keen on lately is Operations Manager.
Oh, okay.
And there is a great blog post by, I forgot his name, and Tony H. And way back when, he wrote a document for Microsoft. Basically, it's a Ops Manager 101 for 2007 R2, and he just wrote this blog post for Operations Manager and OMS.
2016, right?
Yeah, for basically a 101 on that, basically kind of like a high-level overview of how to do some of the day-to-day tasks that people do. And for someone like me that's kind of new to this product, it's been awesome because it's like, okay, how do you, if something is showing this way that's an alert, what is the proper way, the Microsoft way of getting rid of it? How do you tune alerts? Just really, really basic stuff.
How do you do overrides and things like that? Yeah.
And the OMS stuff is really, really cool too because that's obviously all in Azure. And he talks about the differences and the similarities between the two, how they can be used together and stuff like that. So it's a really good read. I sent it to you, so you'll be posting it in the notes.
Yeah.
Stuff. It's a good. Yeah, it'll take a while to read through and stuff, but for me, it was really, really worth it. So.
Yeah, I plan to go through it too because I think it looked really, really good, and I use SCOM 2016.
Cool.
And I started off with the previous versions of SCOM and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm sure there'll be some things I can learn and tweak and go from there. Yeah.
Sweet. What'd you find?
So, Remember we were talking about the last show how Windows 10 deployments, builds are coming out like before we can say boo. And you know, so late yesterday there's a new bill that came out,
Wow.
and that's for the insider preview build because that's where they're pushing out real quick updates and stuff. So there's a new build called 17093, and
Okay.
it's got some really neat stuff. And eventually all of this stuff is going to go into production, right? Into your normal servicing builds. They talk about. I'll just go through real quick. There's a game bar
So
improvements.
I have a stupid question.
What?
Why is it named 17093?
It is. I don't know. You know what? I knew that before. It was something to do with the year, and then the month. But that's
Right,
not
because
true for this though, because that's not. It's we are 2018 right now.
okay, maybe I'm just blanking on like I completely got the client side of stuff, so I am up drawing a blank as to why.
That's a good question. I'm gonna look into that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, they talk about game by improvements. There's like almost like your taskbar kind of a thing where you can
Okay.
control stuff, which is pretty neat. Diagnostic data, they've done some improvements to that. Remember, told you about, now you can see what they're collecting for
Yeah,
telemetry and stuff like that. But now they're giving an option to delete all your data if you want to.
that's cool.
It's in the settings. There's some improvements to graphics, HDR video. What
Nope.
else?
I didn't read anything about it, but I just saw a headline about they're going to remove the password
Yes,
with
yes,
10s.
yes. So 10s now doesn't need a password. There's no password. You can use your phone. You use the Authenticator app, and even while it's going through the out-of-box experience and stuff like that, you can set up Windows Hello and use your app, and boom, you're
That's
in.
really cool.
So
That's awesome.
that's yeah, I think that's really really cool because I do that now actually with my some of my logins for Microsoft services and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I've got the Microsoft Authenticator app and I've got my fingerprint scanner, so just scan it, boom, here you go. So
Nice.
that's really cool. What else? Windows security improvements. They've uh, Windows Defender is no longer called Windows Defender.
Uh-oh.
It is called Windows Security. So, so they made changes to it. They renamed it, so it's under Settings, Update, and Security. And where you used to see Windows Defender, it's now called Windows Security.
Interesting.
So yeah, so that's cool.
So we'll probably see that flow into the System Center endpoint protection in some
Probably,
way, right?
yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure. Yeah, because they're all kind of like related.
Yep.
And there's some Bluetooth improvements, which I think about pairing and connecting and stuff, which I
Okay.
don't really deep. Microsoft Edge, they've added full screen edge to edge. Hey, isn't that funny? Edge to edge. So it takes off everything, but a full screen of the site that you're looking at, and the way you do that is just by pressing the F11 key. It
Okay.
takes you into full screen mode, and then you press that again, and it brings you back down, and with the tabs and stuff like that.
Cool.
So they talk about improvements with printing in Edge. That's will be interesting to see. I hope there's some improvements with the printing PDFs from Edge, because what we found in my environment is that whenever someone printed a PDF document that's opened in Edge, it
Hmm.
actually jams up the print queues.
Okay.
So you have to go to the print server and then clear all that stuff out, and yeah.
What is your go-to browser?
My go-to browser,
Hmm.
Chrome. That's what I
Okay.
use on a daily basis. My main one, technically I use all three. I've got Chrome with a zillion tabs on one screen, and I've got IE in another tab, I mean, in another window, sorry.
Okay.
Then I have Edge as well, and I don't, I use Edge for certain things. So the reason why I have these different browsers is for the different accounts. So I can,
Right.
I've got my personal account for Microsoft stuff that I can do on one browser, and then my work stuff on the other one, and things like that.
Got it.
And
Okay.
I've also got like various other O365 accounts that I use for some of my consulting work and all that.
Got it.
So it's easier to do it that way because otherwise
Yep.
you get signed out and yeah,
Yep. That makes sense.
yeah. Um, and the other thing I like about Chrome is for password management too. So there are times when I'll forget my password or I'm trying to log into a different browser. I'm
Hmm.
able to go into the advanced settings and then
Yep.
go look for it, and you put in your computer password, and you get to see what the actual password and stuff like that. And
Gotcha.
yeah. All
Okay.
right. So what else? They're talking about there's some app permission improvements. I guess you get more privacy settings stuff. And I don't do Linux, but they talk about Windows subsystem for Linux updates.
Dude, oh, we have a
Yeah.
lot of Linux systems,
Yeah.
and all that, the Linux capabilities of Windows 10 are amazing.
Oh, really?
Yes. Just being, yeah. I have to say, like, in the beginning, like, when they first started bringing that in, I'm like, okay, that's kind of like a cool, quirky little thing to have. But, like, I'm actually using Bash
Oh.
to do things that I need to do because I have to interact with the Linux systems as well. Even though I'm a Windows admin,
Oh, okay. Okay.
there are systems that the Windows systems integrate with that. Okay, I need to do command line based stuff, and then having Bash there with private keys attached to it and stuff like that, and just being able to do things quickly that way. I'm like, that's why they put this in here. I
Oh, yeah.
completely
So it
get
makes
it.
it easy, right?
Yep, because with the other option is Linux or Mac. A lot of people go on the Mac side because it's Linux and stuff. But of course, you're paying for a very very expensive machine,
Ah,
and so
yeah.
then you have Linux, which unless you have Puppet and all that kind of stuff, you can't manage it enterprise wide. So having an enterprise managed PC with Windows and then the Linux subsystem, it's like a good. I mean, if you're like an hardcore Windows Unix administrator, it's not going to work for you. But for me, that's in there for a couple times a week doing the things I need to do. It's
It's
awesome.
convenient. Yeah.
Yep, very very convenient.
That's awesome. So the last thing I have, it's actually a little, what do they say? Self-promotion, well, what's that word they use when you're trying to promote yourself and stuff? Uh,
Marketing?
Not marketing. Anyways,
I don't know.
shameless plug, or shameless,
Okay.
that thing. But it's not shameless because I'm not shameless. Anyways, so I was invited by Adaptiva recently to actually join their Windows 10 Security Enterprise Roundtable that's coming up on February 27th at 9 a.m. PST. And I guess I'm one of one, two, three, four people that they invited to talk about Windows 10 security. So basically, it's just about what my part is going to be is just my experience with this whole Spectre and Meltdown vulnerability and how I handled it and the
Okay.
process that I took.
Hmm.
That's my take on it. But then
Cool.
you have someone from Flexera who's probably going to talk about the Flexera tools to do security, and there's going to be Amy there, and this guy from a cybersecurity expert from Microsoft.
Sweet.
So
Sounds
yeah,
pretty cool.
so I'll post the links and all that. So please subscribe, watch it, watch me make a fool of myself. But yeah, I think it'll go well. It's just hey, it's just this is my experience. This is what I had to do. This is how I had to deploy the patches and things like that.
Cool.
And speaking of that, it keeps changing every week, right? Deploy now. Here are the patches. Oh no, wait, don't. We pull them back.
Right. Well,
Yes,
the
wait.
Microsoft stuff has been solid. It's everybody else that's.
Yeah, and then Microsoft just deployed what emergency patches like a week or 2 weeks ago on a weekend, and then today I read Intel came out and said, yeah, we got the patches now ready.
Sure, they do.
Yeah.
I believe you.
So that was today, right?
Whatever.
I was like, okay. So that's gonna drive up another wave of it because next week's Patch Tuesday, right?
Yep.
And it's gonna be busy.
Cool.
So that's all I got.
Nice.
All
Well,
right, man.
cool. Well, I'm tired.
Yeah, me too. Well, hey, I had to manually shovel my driveway. I have an
Uh,
excuse for being tired.
I have 3 girls, Harjit,
Oh,
2 of which are twins.
yeah, yeah.
So shut up.
Okay. Okay, I'll take the shoveling then. That's fine.
Yeah. You
All
don't
right.
you probably won't have mosquitoes like Gainesville though.
Oh, you guys got a lot of mosquitoes?
It's a swamp, dude. It's absolutely a swamp.
Yeah, so
So
where I live, we have a shitload of mosquitoes in the summertime because I live also on my land's generally quite wet.
okay.
There's a brook and a pond on my neighbor's side, and there's lots of grass and stuff like that. So trying to sit out there, it's brutal. We try to make a little campfire and stuff on weekends, and it's just you can't even enjoy it.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's weird. The mosquitoes here, so we got here in August, so they were still out. And the city does spray
Uh,
for them, but I don't know why, but where we were getting a lot still. And like you're like smacking them, trying to kill them, and they don't die. I'm like, what kind of mosquito is this? And so I'm like watching it suck my blood, and I'm like hitting it, and it's not dying. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So we have to come up with some kind of solution so that we can still play outside.
you feel like
Uh,
steroid crazy.
They could be, and here it's serious because of all the different diseases that they can carry. Like Zika was a problem,
Oh, yeah.
in other parts of Florida and stuff like that. So you gotta have to like be serious about it. So I did find this. Like when you look up, I was doing research on like how to like prevent mosquitoes around your house and stuff like that, and it's incredible to see what's out there. But there's this one thing I'm really intrigued by, that it looks like almost like one of those propane heaters that you
Oh,
stick
yeah.
on your patio. It looks like that, but what it does is it like emits this plume of an invisible gas that the mosquitoes are attracted to, and they go down this tube and they get trapped in this canister
Okay.
and they
Yep.
die. And so then you empty it out, which I think is kind of terrifying because it can hold a ton of mosquitoes and stuff. And I'm looking into that. There's something about my blood that mosquitoes love because everybody around me will be fine and I'm the one getting attacked.
Actually, there is a thing about that. I was just reading about that recently too, and they've done studies that there's certain, I guess vapors or whatever from different bodies that attracts, right? So, yeah, so I know I have like some family members and stuff and friends. Some of them will get, they'll switch. They're like, oh, there's too many mosquitoes here. I'm going to come over the other side.
Hmm.
And next thing you know, they're getting attacked there, but on someone else who moves this side, they're fine.
Yep.
And it's got something to do with chemicals and all that stuff.
Maybe they like spicy blood. Dang it.
Maybe.
Ugh.
Maybe I should just rub sriracha all over my body and then just sit there and let it suffer.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate sriracha. Blah.
Ah.
But Chrissy actually, she's my wife. She came up with this concoction of essential oils that works incredibly well. Which I'm like, okay, that might be kind of cool.
She should
to
sell it. We should make a famous.
Harjit and Prayer mosquito repellent. Then we can have another one, like Harjit and Prayer human repellent.
Yeah,
What else could we do?
we could do
Yeah, like if you're like having a bad day at work and you don't want people to bug you, you can put the human repellent on, and when they walk into your cube, they're like,
Hey,
never mind.
if she makes these for us, package them in little things, tubes or whatever, and
Hmm.
then we bring it to conferences and just sell it there.
Interesting.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Think about it. All right, man. Until next time.
Cool.
You'll find me on Twitter. I'm Harjit at HOORGE.
And I'm Prayer. Sometimes you can find me on Twitter at ITPrayer.
All right. Cheers.
Later.
Fork, fork, fork.